Hey there, and welcome to Scaling Up Your Impact. I'm your host, Kelly Smythe Dent, the founder of Scaling Up, here with some quick insights, tips, and tools for therapists. Don't forget to sign up for our free weekly newsletter. You'll get the latest episodes, workbooks, and practical resources to support your growth. You'll find the link right in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Scaling Up Your Impact podcast, where we at Scaling Up talk about different practical trauma-informed tools, mindset shifts, and clinical strategies for you therapists who want to grow without burning out and without being completely isolated in that process. So today I have a very special guest with me. I am talking with one of our amazing facilitators and soon to be EMDR basic trainer. She's part of our program, getting ready to become a basic trainer. And who knows, whenever you're listening to this, Reba might already be an official trainer, depending on when you hear this or when you tune in again. So today, Reba and I will be talking about something that we think is really important, but we want to talk about it with you, Reba, because we've seen you do this in action and just how like second nature this seems. It may not feel second nature to you, but it looks like from the outside, from our perspective, like this is just who Reba is. And so we want to talk about relationship and community building strategies that help people invest in mental health. So those people could be therapists in the community, how they're investing in their mental health or helping others in the community invest in theirs, but then also everyone else in our neighborhoods, in our towns, in our cities, everyone else in our communities that may be investing in their mental health, or maybe they are supporting people who are doing that in different ways. We just know that, Reba, you're so good at this. You're so good at relationship building and just being genuine in that, in your personal life, based on our experiences with you and professionally, and just the way that you have really come together and just brought even more people to the scaling up world after we got to know you and working with you. And it's like, wow, Reba was super connected in her community and in such a genuine, authentic way that feels very welcoming and like, heck yeah, like Reba said. So we're going to check it out. So the trust that you've built is palpable. We can see it, and so we just want to talk about it. So thank you for joining me today in this conversation and for our listeners, because I know that you're going to provide some great nuggets for them and they're going to get to experience you as you talk, which is even more exciting. So thank you for coming. And will you take a couple of minutes just to let the folks know who you are, where you're at, what do you do, peek behind the curtain, get to know you a little bit better, our audience can.
Thank you, Robyn. It's so wonderful to be here and to be a part of the Scaling Up team. First of all, I got to have a lot of time with Kelly this year in trainings and conferences that we just both so happened to be at together. And I really got to tell her, that I enjoy being a part of the Scaling Up community because of everything you described. Scaling Up has also given me that similar experience of really walking alongside other clinicians who are learning and stretching and growing. And it's just a reminder to me of why I do all of this. In together, we're all becoming the clinicians that we are together. So that's what I really built my practice on. So outside of that, I wear a lot of hats. I come from a pretty large Filipino family. Everyone's pretty close to each other here in Southern California. For example, my sister tried to move away because her husband's in the military, but they're right back here in Southern California. I hope to always be as close to Disneyland as I am. And my husband and I have been married for 14 years. We have three very amazing kids that are pretty busy and keep us really busy as well. We are both very career driven and have always just supported each other in our careers and pivoted into what each other needs. And we have similar leadership requirements from our positions,
Mhm.
where, we have just really encouraged each other to seek mentorship and community and things like that. But we, because of his job, are really close with a university community out here where we live. And then because of that, it pushes us to be involved with our own city and community. And the way that we do that is through our church. And our circle is a circle, but it's a pretty big circle and a close circle of people who support each other. So I do run my own group practice. We have 3 locations here in California, all local to Southern California. And I've been very lucky to have been able to really just grow the practice as clinicians are graduating with their degree. And I maybe met them through the opportunity to supervise them. Um,
Mhm.
you know, get to bring them into my practice and supervise them. And then that evolved into a larger group practice as clinicians I supervised became licensed and, wanted to stick around and, be therapists together. Um, Outside of my group, I have other clinician friends who also have their own practices. So we really just support each other in, doing this thing, this
Mhm.
very rewarding but very stressful thing. And so just there's a big therapist community, I think, because of what we've built together. And then outside of that, I don't know. There's a certain part of the day, Monday through Friday, that I clock out and clock into being the chauffeur for my kids because they all have different activities that I'm just always driving them to.
Mhm.
And when I catch up with family and friends, I'm always in the car. I'm in the car. I'm in the parking lot waiting for pickup or, about to drop off. And, we always have to meal plan because of that and snacks and things. And
Yeah.
then outside of being a clinician, the other part of my brain really loves being a supervisor and a teacher. So I am an adjunct professor at the university nearby. I've taught in the undergrad department there and the grad department as well, in the marriage and family therapy program, the
Mhm.
counseling psychology program. I've had some experience with their sport and performance psychology program as well. My husband and I get to be involved in that every time they need us. And it's busy. And then
Sounds like it.
getting to do some consulting and teaching and training for EMDR. I really have enjoyed that's a more recent in the recent years, becoming a facilitator and getting to do that with scaling up is another part of my calendar weekly that I really look forward to because it's, just different parts of my brain are being used and I'm like learning as I'm growing, as I'm
Yeah.
teaching, I'm also learning. And it's wonderful. And then like solely what I do in my practice is I'm an EMDR therapist. I get to do a lot of work with women who have had some kind of perinatal trauma. And
Mhm.
so, alongside of that developing over the last 10 years, um, I've had my own personal experiences that have really grounded me in my work as well, in working with moms or moms to be, or moms who want to really become moms. So yeah, there's a lot that Reba does, and
Yeah.
people always ask how I do it all, and I couldn't do it without support from family and community. And really, when you asked me to be a part of this podcast, it was a very easy yes because I thought all I have to do is talk because it's just what I do. I love my people and my village and my community. So it's
Yeah.
easy to it's definitely easy to talk about that and share how that can be, an anchoring part of someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And after hearing everything that you do in your community and what your community does for you, I'm just really honored that you are, carving a little piece of your week and your energy for us at Scaling Up and for all the people, the trainees that come through our programs. It just, makes it all the more special. So I'm really grateful. Thank you so much for um,
yeah, just saying yes to being part of our facilitator and trainer team. So it's gonna be great. Couple of things stood out to me, and it was when you were talking about the various aspects of your community and who those people were, people from the university, people from your church, and fellow practice owners. I just love what like how much variety there is. You know, you're in multiple communities, like subgroups of communities, and the way that you describe supporting each other feels very refreshing. I know it can sometimes be hard for people to find their people, especially in different places.
Mhm.
I know for me, sometimes it's easy to get stuck like these are my people over here, and we're all kind of in the same types of things, and we only see each other here. And then it can feel kind of challenging because, you know, the demands of life,
Sure.
all on its
Yeah.
own, to like venture out and get into different communities or be more present or active in other communities that maybe you're not. And so I really love that it seems like it's such a core aspect of your life and how you move through and receive support and give support. And I just think it's really refreshing. I'd love to chat a little bit deeper about that, about the role community plays, not just in like your clients' healing, but in how your team supports one another and how you're supporting other clinicians outside of your team as well, because you mentioned having that connection. Love to go a little bit deeper on that.
So, yeah, we say it a lot in my group practice, that we really heal in community. I've really seen it modeled for me first, um, especially, I mean, at every level, I've seen it modeled. Even in meetings and supervisions, any kind of gathering, I feel like their community can really provide like a genuine care versus competition, like supervisors checking in on their associates, and even more than just, how their caseload is doing. Like, I feel like, especially since COVID, people are really good at work at, telling someone how they're doing or how someone in their home is doing.
Mhm.
So, we get to check in with each other on those things. And I have a really great admin team who are really good at showing, heart and empathy just as much as the clinicians. Sometimes I forget they're not clinicians. And
By proxy, they're clinicians by proxy.
exactly. I mean, I want to hand them a doctoral degree at the end of this job. But when I look at my practice and even just getting to go into an office full of clinicians, I really built that um, through relationships and trust. And, you were saying it's hard to even just look at other groups of people and, wonder how you are there for each other when you're so busy with this and that. And, building relationships and trust also comes with risk. We have to be, um, as much as you love and care about each other, it is a risk to be open and vulnerable about things, even something as simple as telling someone where you live,
Yeah.
and you are with community and with relationships, even in the workplace, you are, letting go of some boundaries that are important to you. So being able to relate and have that trust, you have to also, be willing to take risks. And
Mhm.
you're only going to get what you're giving as well.
Mhm.
So for me, it's never really been about just building a practice. You know, the name of my practice is Rain Cross Family Counseling, and the Rain Cross comes from a symbol that's just all over the city of Riverside. It looks like a little bell, and people don't really know it's called a rain cross till you see it with the name. And it's the city symbol, and the city to me is really just special because it's my first home. I went to UC Riverside, and it was by the time I really graduated and stayed here for grad school and planted my roots, it was my first home.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, my mom just moved us around a lot. I think by the time we moved into the house that I'm in now, and we bought the house that I'm in now, I had moved around probably every other year of my entire life. I've lived in every zip code in Riverside and like a lot of LA County and Palm Springs. Like there was a lot of moving. So really getting to call this home, whether it's my home forever or not, and really plant my roots here and be part um, of the college communities here. It really is so great to give back what I got. And a lot of the therapists that work for me share that identity of, they have seen community up close, whether that's within, their own grad experience or college experience. Um, they've seen the power of mentorship, and they've seen things that really help them thrive and what they want for their own future of that, like safety around them, consistency of people who show up for you, and then also people who just believe in your potential, and that's really what we're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to be isolated. I mean,
Sure.
that's what jail is, right? That's what
Sure.
prison is. It's isolation.
Sure.
um, we're meant to gather. We're meant to be in community and pouring into each other. So
Mhm.
I really am just replicating what healed me, and gave me a home, because even though I have a wonderful family, my childhood was wonderful, um, I've never had a home.
Yeah.
So it's it's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah. I can feel just how important this is to you and how it's not just where you live is not just, a geographical location. You're not
Yeah.
just, in a random neighborhood. You're not just in a house that feels safe and comfortable. Like
Mhm.
you are in a very special place that feels like home to you and it
Mhm.
feels like you truly belong there and you want others to feel similarly, like you belong here
Yeah.
with us. You're here, you belong. And that is not something I think you can just pretend. You can't make up. It has to
Mhm.
be real and live within you. And that sense of connection and belonging seems to make it so much easier to help folks get have that moment of like, yes, I do need to tend to my mental health. I do need
Mhm.
to work with someone in my community who gets it, who gets this place, who feels that I belong no matter what I've been through. I still belong here. And that sounds like a place I would want to go,
Yeah. Oh, and it
for,
can be
for
anywhere.
therapy.
I'm not here to tell you everyone should move to Riverside, California. Like this is just my home.
Yeah,
It's
no, I get it, but that sense
yeah.
of like, this is where we are. We are home here, wherever
Mhm.
our like community, our town, our neighborhood is.
Yes.
How much different it would be if we did feel like we belonged in the neighborhood in the town that we are in, just
Mhm.
like you do, because it seems like that seems to really support the way that you go about helping folks, advocate for their mental health, seek services for their mental health, learn about mental health through the college, all of those things. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like that gives you like even more like fire in you to spread that,
Oh yeah, it definitely allows you to show up
Yeah.
for things, because what the work that we do is so heavy. So
Hmm.
it's nice to have people like a soft place to land, right? I don't have to
Yeah,
hold everything alone.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like this just like naturally leads us to another thing we wanted to make sure we covered today, and that was this elusive thing called balance. Um, I say that because it feels like the definition and what it looks like changes every day, if not more than once a day, depending on
Yeah.
what's going on. But for you, what does it look like to balance being a therapist, being a leader in your practice and your community, being a wife and a mom, and still be able to lead with presence and purpose?
Yeah, so like a play on my name, Reba. A few years ago, I had a podcast. It was a very like limited series, as much as I wanted to keep it going, but it was
Uh-huh.
called the Rebalancing Podcast, and like the font was so that my name stood out. I don't know.
I love that.
Yeah, because I hear it a lot. Like, how do you balance? How do you do all the things that you do, you know? And what I loved about it is it was never about me. Every podcast episode, I brought on someone else in my life who was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that podcast because it's part of my answer in we're all doing it. You know, we all have a full plate. It just looks different than
Hmm.
everyone else's. I'd
There's
like
no
to
like
think
list of life hacks, Reba. Come on.
I'd like to think that this is the season, the busiest season in my life. Like I really hope so. Like having young kids that they really need me. But as they get older, they're gonna need me a lot less. So, you know, in every direction, my plate is really full. And I try to give 100% into everything that I do, everything that I volunteer for, everything that I do. Um, I'm replicating people I look up to. My mom was very much that way. Even though she was a single mom, she didn't miss a single event of ours. Like she worked full time and somehow made it to everything.
Mhm.
Uh, but because of that, that's what I'm trying to replicate. Like I'm mom first, you know, my family is first.
Mhm.
They've always been at the center. Um, and then next is really supporting my husband's career. He has a very demanding career. He travels a lot. And he, you know, is the provider of our home. And so when he's supported and when he knows that, you know, I'm in his corner and everything at home is exactly the way he left it per se, maybe
Yeah.
not like mess wise, but you know he has his family anchored down at home holding down
Yeah.
the rope for him. Then that makes everything so much easier, you know.
Mhm.
Then he, you know, is because I'm supporting his career and calling, it feels like a win for everyone. It's kind of like this shared mission for us, right? Because if I'm fully supporting him, then he's also supporting me. I really do want to say that being deeply involved in our church is very helpful
Mhm.
because the days are really long, and knowing that people are praying for me and caring about me and checking on me makes it feel like I'm not going to burn out, you know, like, and
I love
if I'm
that.
about
Mhm.
to, I know what to do. I know how to press the pause button in my life. Um, I don't know how to answer like specifically how to balance it all because I know in my head it wasn't always this way and it won't always be this way.
Yeah.
But right now I'm savoring this very abundant season, like where everything I've worked hard for, I'm getting, and
Mhm.
everything I've prayed for, I'm getting, and it's happening all at once. So it's chaotic, but it's also very sacred and I know that it's stretching me um because it's a really fun season where I get to just be so grateful and alive.
Mhm.
um and so I know that it won't always be like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
knowing that, okay, I'm not going to be this busy for the rest of my life. I'm not going to live in my car every day for the rest of my life. You know, like I'm not, it's just right now while my kids are young, my practice is, you know, not even 5 years old. Um, and there's so much, like I feel like we're barely still re-emerging from COVID, you know? So um back to how I started this part of the answer to your question is focusing on my kids first. Like I'm a mom first. Like
Mhm.
that is something I'm never going to get back is their childhood and
Yeah.
how present I am. And I have to really build my team, right? And build my community around me so that I can walk away from it. I can, leave to go to the jujitsu rehearsal on the other side of town, or I can leave to go volunteer or chaperone the train field trip to the mission. Like
Yeah.
I can walk away. I get to do things like that because I worked really hard to be able to do that. So
Wow.
one day it won't be this way, and I might be like, other clinicians in scaling up that I've had the privileged to meet during the conference a couple weeks ago where they're like, "Oh, I live in Mexico half the year and then, my kids are older and we just picked up and moved to Brazil and, my spouse just, changed his whole career." And so one day you're going to hear
Hey.
my version of that while my kids are in college, and I don't know, my son's probably never going to leave me, so he'll come with us.
You know,
Like,
the moral of the story is it's not going to always be this way. But one thing I think we can count on, Reba, is you will have community no matter what.
yes.
Uh, that's a constant, it seems. And I love when you were I loved how you mentioned that you have this sense of security that you're not going to burn out because your community is there. You know your community is checking in on you. If they don't hear from you or if they notice something feels off with you, they're going to be checking on you.
I
They're
know everyone can't see it, but
yeah.
this it's just handwritten. It says "Love you, cousin," and then it's love, and then my friend and her son.
Oh,
She's not actually my cousin. We actually forget that a lot, and people in the world probably think we're actually related. But it's a college roommate who, same. She ended up in Riverside,
mhm.
married her spouse, and stayed here. But she's also not from here, but found her
Yeah.
home here. And a couple weeks ago, she heard I was having a hard day, and I went out into my lobby and there was a bouquet of flowers, a coffee
Ah,
that I didn't know I needed, and then
what?
just this little note. And like, I swear during my session, I heard little footsteps in the lobby that sounded like my son. Um, and it was her son, so it was just so sweet. Like, there are people like that, hey, I heard your husband's out of town and like there's dinner at your doorstep. And it's like, wow, thank you,
Yeah.
So it's so it's the little things like
Yep.
that acts of service is my love language. So it's how I reciprocate too. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the opportunity to get to drop off a meal at someone's door too, or carpool, and I'm in the car anyway. So what's two more kids?
Exactly. Yeah. We have the seatbelts. Come on in.
Exactly. Come on in.
Yeah. I love that community for you is something that it fills you up. It allows you to pour into. It helps rebalance things when things might get a little off kilter or funky. It's just a hard
Mhm.
season, busy season. And I love all the ways that you've described. So in the few minutes we have left, I would love to hear from you. Share with our folks what are some lessons you've learned about building something meaningful and sustainable without losing yourself, and why laughter and humility are non-negotiable.
Ooh, good one.
I can't wait.
So this season, we're calling it a season,
Mhm.
has taught me a lot um, about how my growth has to be grounded in grace.
Yeah.
And really that's grace for myself. But when I can like let things go for myself, I find that I can really let it go in other people. It's a common part of the conversation in my home. Like my husband will vent to me about something, and then I'll say like the other perspective, and he'll go, "Why do you always do that?" He's like, like he's like, "Oh, I went to go get a sandwich at Subway and da da da." I'm like, "Well, what about that Subway worker? And like maybe she had a really, difficult customer before you." And I just like just something like that. And
Yep.
and he's like, "Why do you always have to?" He's like, "I just want you to be on my side." I'm like, "Well, that's part of it is we just can't take ourselves so seriously. Like
Mhm.
I can, I can be like at a conference, the EMDR conference. I could be there all day and it's super, super serious. But then it was so nice to go out to dinner with the scaling up team and it's light. It's not
Yes.
serious. Everyone's,
You're laughing.
everyone's just laughing and there's a
Yeah.
lot of humor and everyone's not so serious and I think that that's something I really have to keep rooting myself in is to not have that pressure. My husband and I are also both the firstborns. So there is this pressure of like, I have to earn the free time so that I can have balance, and I have
Oh,
to prove that I can do it all so perfectly or like, you do this until you retire. And then when you retire, that's when you can, do this and that.
yeah.
But, the work that we do, especially as EMDR therapists, the work that I do has really taught me to soften, um, and like really work on myself in that,
Yeah.
and not get lost in the seriousness of it all, I can't remember the name of the genre of comedy, but my husband and I went to an improv, and during the part of the show where, they're collecting all the bar tabs, he just goes, "All right, we're gonna do a Q&A. No one's paying attention to me anyway. You're all paying your, bar tabs, so we'll just do a Q&A." And the first question was, what is the genre of humor that you do? And I can't remember. I used to be able to, but it's a tip of my tongue. And he said, "Well, let me answer it this way." He's like, "Raise your hand if you are a first responder, a teacher, or some kind of counselor." And everyone in the room except my husband raised their hand.
Oh,
They
oh.
all raised their hands, And
Yeah.
and he goes, "There, this type of humor
Yeah.
is for people like you because
Oh,
you hear the seriousness of it all, that all
yes.
you can do is put it all away and laugh."
Right.
And now people around me are crying, because they're like, yeah, like,
Yep.
the other people we went with, it was two of my therapist friends and their husbands. One of them, her husband is a special ed teacher, and
Hmm.
the other one is a pastor. So
Hmm.
we're over here, like the five of us are like, yeah, like we carry so much
Yeah.
because we care so much and
Yeah.
we're so we work so much with other people and we're carrying by proxy what they're all carrying. And
Exactly.
so, but you just need it. I need the laughter or I'll get lost in how serious things are, or
Yeah.
sometimes
Get
we'll just like,
lost.
yeah, we'll be even at church, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
this is such a serious conversation. Like, how do we,
Like, I can't. I
I
can't.
I
Yeah.
want, the humility in that is like, I have to have the humility so I can learn and I can
Hmm.
be open to learning. But have that plus the laughter to like really remember I'm building something that it needs to outlast me, right? Whether that's my kids or my practice or, the work that I'm doing. Um, it's to help people have their own legacy
Hmm.
of being seen and being safe and being connected. So I, I gotta have both, so that it can be
Both.
lasting and
Yeah.
it doesn't like just eat me up and like literally kill me, you know?
Right. Right. Yes.
Stress
Yeah.
can kill you.
Because exactly. As a therapist in your community, you are in it all day with people. You're in the like raw, darker parts of life, the more challenging, painful parts of life. And if that's the only place you stayed as a human, or like super serious and or analytical and like thinking through, how big of an impact, oh my gosh, you make this choice and something, bad could happen or just leave an impact. Like when you think of anything that's just in those categories of so serious, as you say, it can feel like it starts to eat you up or,
Yeah.
it keeps you from experiencing all the other aspects of being human and being a relationship, which can include the joy, having a good time, being humble enough to learn and grow and shift and change. And there's like a playfulness, I think, in all of that, right? Like when you're humble, you're able to open up a part of yourself and that can get lost in a new perspective or lost in an adventure or
Hmm.
lost in play, and just
Totally.
really be able to um expand your own capacity, your heart's capacity to hold everything you hold, because you're getting filled too. And you're being another part of your humanity, right? Like you're
Right.
expressing another part of your humanity. You're able to hold and move through the hard, but you're also able to remain present and dedicated to the light, the funny, the joy, and humility and all of that. So I can really get a sense of how that really helps you keep going and contribute to whatever that legacy is going to look like when you're gone, or when you leave your practice. What happens, right, with your practice when you retire? What's it going to be? Who's going to be in the community when you leave, in that sense? You might still be there physically, right?
Yeah.
But you've passed down, your auntie status now, right?
And
Like,
I'm living in the Philippines for 8 months out of the year.
you're living in the Philippines, yes. Just chilling, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. I have really enjoyed our time together, and really feeling into how your sense of community impacts and really informs the work you do, and also just who you are. Like I
Thanks,
said when
Robyn.
we first started talking, like, this doesn't feel like work to you, right? Like you're not like working at community, even though it does take effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that it just exudes from who you are. And I just feel that is just so important for us to tap into. We all have that capacity, as you said, right? Like we are not meant to be alone. And so we all have that capacity. However, it can be challenging depending on where folks live, everyone, the experiences and access to
Mm-hmm.
other things in their community. It's not always easy to come by. It's not always easy to
Well,
cultivate
it's so
that
great that we
community.
have such great technology now too.
Yes.
My
Yes.
closest friends, we keep up with each other on Marco Polo, the app.
Oh, yes.
Like
Yes.
I have a girlfriend in Kentucky who's a therapist, and yeah, we talk on there all the time. And one of my close friends from high school in Palm Springs, that's where we talk all the time. I've got, a friend just like 20 miles down the road. There's always a polo waiting for me.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. My close people and I, we communicate on different apps too. But you know what? It's been a while since we've used Marco Polo. But let me tell you, during that first year of COVID, I feel like, it was
Yeah.
7 messages a day of like,
Oh, we're all on a
yeah,
family plan. There's a family plan that, I don't
yes.
know, costs something per year, and you could put 5 people on your family plan on
Uh-huh.
Marco Polo. That way you could speed it up, you could take notes, you could transcribe, and
Yes.
you could speed it up 2 times so it's like
I
doesn't take
love it.
a phone call.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
listen to everything on 2x. two,
Okay.
two times
Yeah,
a week.
same.
Yep. Podcasts, voice messages from friends. We do that, we'll do little TED Talks with each other. We call them TED Talks,
Yeah.
'cause just be leaving a voice message.
Exactly.
Next thing we
This is
know,
my
it's been
TED
20
Talk.
minutes. Yes. So, I love that. All the many ways we can connect and how that supports us and our well-being, the well-being of our vision, our purpose, the people in our lives and our community. Just so grateful for this time, Reba.
Me
I
too.
can't wait
Thank
for
you.
folks to tune in. I will put your information of how people can find your practice in our show notes. So if anyone is interested in connecting with Reba, learning more about Rain Cross Family Therapy, we are going to put that in the show notes just so you can check it out. Maybe
Thank
someone
you.
or maybe you yourself are like, what, I could use a therapist that really gets community because that's super important to me, or I want to learn how to do that for myself. So head on over to our website to check
Yeah.
out the show notes, and we will see you next time, or we'll tune in together next time. Until then, remember the various ways that you can leave an impact on your community and the ways that your community impacts you and your practice, and find 1 to 3 ways that you can cultivate that over the next week. And then share with us. Head on over to our social media or send us a message to our website and let us know how you've done that. Thanks again, Reba. We will talk with you soon.
Thank you, Robyn.